Hello you dirty dogs and welcome back to One on One, the show where we two-foot the facts and make bad football knowledge train with the under-23s. In recent weeks, we've fixed AC Milan, we've scrutinised Red Bull's role in football, and we've documented Leeds' revival under the legendary Marcelo Bielsa. So, it only felt right to head to Spanish shores in this episode, where a rise of epic proportions has gone pretty much unnoticed by the English-speaking media. You and I are here to put that right, to give this tale the respect it deserves. I hope you like tripe stew and the word plaza, because we're heading to Madrid, my friends, to pay homage to Getafe Club de Futbol, La Liga's little club that can knock for emphasis. Now, most things in Madrid are pretty big time. It's the second largest city in the European Union, it has the third largest GDP in Europe, and it's home to both the Spanish monarchy and footballing royalty. However, 13 kilometres to the south of the city centre is the municipality of Getafe, where all this glitz and glamour dissipates. In its place, a proud history of manual labour and manufacturing. Hard work and sweat are definitely the currency in Getafe. I'll be done for. Baby soft skin. Prior to the footballing endeavours of the last 2 seasons, the municipality was perhaps best known for its military airbase, or, at a push, the fact that it reached the Copa del Rey final twice in consecutive years in the early noughties, losing both. This isn't a city or a club used to the limelight, but here we are, 27 games into the 1920 season, and they sit above storied rivals Atletico Madrid in the league rankings, a single point off a third. All of this while managing a season in the Europa League, which is typically the death knell for an overperforming smaller side. This isn't a one-off either. They've been slowly rising up the league rankings since their promotion from the Segunda Division in 17-18. First placing 8th, then breaking into the top 5 last campaign, usurping the likes of Sevilla despite only having the 12th biggest budget in the league. And just to emphasise the financial disparity between them and the clubs they're going toe-to-toe with even further, their current wage bill is 6 times smaller than Atleti's. Had they qualified for Champions League football in 18-19, it would no doubt have been story of the season. Unfortunately, Valencia pipped them on the final day of the campaign. However, they have the chance to right that wrong when La Liga recommences, which, at the time of recording, could be as early as June 12th. So, our objective for this episode is to work out what makes El Geta tick. How have they gone from second division fodder to top 4 contenders in little over 3 seasons? Let's get to it. If his namesake Jose Mourinho is the special one, then Jose Bordalas is definitely the persistent one. Beneath the razor-sharp suits, the thick black glasses, and a carefully pruned beard is a profound story of perseverance. Much like his club, Bordalas has been an underdog his entire career. Even in his playing days, he was shunned, failing to make a single appearance for parent club Hercules, despite being contracted to the Valencian outfit for 7 seasons. Ultimately, after a series of underwhelming loan spells, injury ended his career prematurely at age just 28. An outcome that was always likely, having picked up a serious knee injury at 16. The highest division he played in was the 4th. Undeterred by the setbacks in his playing days, he sought a career in management. His first job was with his hometown club Alicante, transforming an underperforming under-19 side. Soon after, he'd guide the B team to promotion at the first time of asking. And then in 94-95, his big break. He got to manage the first team in the Tercera Division, Spain's 4th tier. In less than 3 years, Bordalas had matched his exploits as a player as a manager. However, this isn't a tale of slow and steady progress. Further setbacks were afoot. After leaving Alicante, Bordalas would manage another 10 clubs before taking up the helm at Getafe, spending the majority of his coaching career in the 2nd and 3rd divisions. And even when he did reach the promised lands, steering Alaves into La Liga for the first time in 10 years, 23 years into his time as a coach, he was sacked by a board that were reportedly unconvinced by his ability to keep them in the division. When he overachieved, it still cost him his job. Even when Getafe made their advances in 2016, it was in dire circumstances. El Geta were 23rd in the Segunda Division with 8 matches played. Yet Bordalas overachieved once more, this time delivering promotion via the playoffs. Since that career-defining move, he's won the Miguel Munoz Trophy for best coach in La Liga, previously picked up by the likes of Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho and Diego Simeone. It's safe to say he's come a long way from collecting watermelons and selling newspapers to supplement his football income. Now this same doggedness and determination is evident in his Getafe side. Former player Juan Cala once told The Guardian, "It's like you're playing for your life each time you're on the pitch." So without further ado, let's dissect this intense brand of football and unpick the unfancied tactics that have almost led Getafe to football utopia. In this section, we're going to look at 4 key features of Getafe's approach. A battle of wills. Firstly, Bordalas has made his side a nightmare to play against. Spanish paper Diario AS even described facing Getafe at the Coliseum Alfonso Perez as like a trip to the dentist. To say they're physical is an understatement. They're currently averaging 19 fouls per 90 in domestic play, 3 clear of second place Deportivo Alaves. Unsurprisingly, they lead the league for yellow cards on 96. That's 30 more than Diego Simeone's combative Atletico Madrid. Crazy. However, they are infuriatingly smart with it. In fact, they've only received 1 red card all season. Real Betis have 5. They spread out the tactical fouling to perfection. Saying that, just because they have some profoundly old school tendencies, it doesn't mean there's no room for innovation and creativity. In fact, Getafe's pressing and their positional play is some of the best in the league. Lightning fast transitions. By deploying a more traditional 4-4-2 and suffocating those central areas, Bordalas' men force their opposition out wide, which is often what triggers their press. When an opposition fullback is in what he perceives as safe space, that's when Getafe pounce, closing off passing lanes with their 2 tight banks of 4 and hoping to cash in on a low percentage pass. In fact, Bordalas' side led the league in pressing intensity as late as February, allowing only 7.09 passes before completing a defensive action. The defence is instructed to keep a really high line, meaning the gap between them and the midfield is extremely narrow. So, when Getafe do win the ball back, they can transition from the back at lightning speed. Forgot that last word. This is part of the reason why that despite faring poorly for shots per 90, shots inside the box, touches inside the box and key passes, they're still able to create high quality chances. Effectively, the press becomes the playmaker. Another example of this is Getafe's complete disregard for possession. In a tactical breakdown published in February, it showed that the Madrid-based side had played the most long balls in the league and had the worst pass completion percentage to boot. In short, they'd rather the opposition have the ball in the final third than have to work it up the pitch themselves. Who needs a playmaker, I suppose, when you've got 10 guys geared to winning the ball in the opposition half? Of course, this absolutely rattles the purists. In fact, when current Barcelona manager Quique Setién was in charge of Real Betis, he went on record to say, "This isn't football, it's something else and makes my blood boil." Jose Bordalas' response: "What's the point of having 30 touches in your half of the pitch without moving forward? People have started to confuse lengthy possession with good football." What's Spanish for zing? Solidity and solidarity. In order for this approach to translate to European football, it requires an unbelievable amount of concentration. After all, if Getafe concede, it's unlikely, only scoring 1.4 goals a game, that they're going to claim all 3 points. As a matter of martial law, lines must not be broken in central areas, which is why the emphasis is on being compact and structured. In order to achieve this, sometimes Bordalas will populate his whole back line with centre-backs and put his full-backs as wingers. The wingers will then become inverted to help close off passing lines between the full-back and the centre-half. For example, Marco Cucurella, who lines up on the left wing, actually completes the 3rd most defensive actions in the entire team. Alain Niom is another great example of this, playing both right back and right wing, often swapping judiciously during the game. It's this ability to convert players to tactically versatile individuals who are able to adapt in real time that's been one of Bordalas' great successes. If their attack breaks down, everyone in the side does what it takes to prevent that ball from reaching their back line. This is much more proactive defending than just sitting in a deep block. Mauro Arambari and Nemanja Maksimovic are frequently tasked with protecting their centre halves and do so admirably. The fact they only average 25 and 20 passes per game highlights this directive. Maksimovic in particular has excelled on this front and leads the sides for interceptions on 1.6 per 90. That's 6th in the league for central midfielders. The art of war. Then there's the small psychological battles which, to the untrained eye, might come across as inconsequential. However, given that Bordalas is a fanatic of the Roman Empire, thus a lover of strategy and warfare, you can almost guarantee that special emphasis is placed on shithousery. Everything about this club is designed to aggravate those who have become accustomed to the luxuries of top-flight football. For example, in recent seasons, both Barcelona's Ivan Rakitic and Valencia's Dani Parejo have bemoaned the state of the pitch after poor results at the Coliseum Alfonso Perez. For Bordalas and his merry band of rogues, long grass and scorched earth are simply the norm. They were born in it, molded by it. And while the way his players conduct themselves on the pitch can sometimes be construed as savagery, the way he prepares his troops for battle is in fact pretty cutting edge. Getafe use a system called Zone 7. Basically, they're a data analytics company that was invented by engineers who previously worked for the Israeli Defense Forces. The software, which collects data from around the world of sport, has helped Getafe, who are the first club in Europe to use it by the way, keep their players in pristine shape. In the 18-19 season, for example, despite the inherent physicality in their approach, they only missed a cumulative, which is a word I find really hard to say, 178 days. Now before we move on, there's of course a lot more to Getafe than those 4 pillars that I just referenced. So if you're interested, I've included all the sources that I've used to create this video, which includes some brilliant tactical breakdowns in the description box below. Check out all those guys, let them know that you appreciate their work. However, these tactical and physical innovations are nothing without a squad of players who have bought into that system and are willing to give blood, sweat and tears in order to execute it. Given we've spoken a lot about Bordalas throughout this piece, I wanted to shine some light on other influential members in that changing room. Off the pitch, there's highly rated fitness coach Javier Vidal, who doesn't even allow walking during training. His rationale is simple and brutal. There is no rest, as there isn't any during games. You'd be forgiven for thinking this sounds pretty archaic and irresponsible, but Vidal has found the way to strike the perfect balance, particularly with the implementation of Zone 7. Last season, Getafe only suffered 8 muscle injuries, compared to the 30 plus endured by the likes of Atletico and Real Madrid. Vidal is running his players into the ground while keeping them off the physio table. Then there's 38-year-old hitman Jorge Molina, who almost became a PE teacher, such was the slow start to his career. In 18-19, Molina was directly involved in 19 of Getafe's 48 goals. Absurd output given his age. According to Vidal, such is his professionalism, he's still one of the fittest in the squad. Alongside Molina is 31-year-old strike partner. How to pronounce Mata.
PronounceNames.com.
Jaime Mata. Well, let's see how this goes. Alongside Molina is 31-year-old striker Jaime Mata. The Spanish striker didn't play a minute of La Liga football until he turned 30. Now, he has a cap for the national side. Without the perseverance and self-confidence akin to his manager, things could have been very different for Jaime Mata. Whilst playing for Valladolid, Mata was offered a lucrative €6 million contract from Zhejiang Greentown in the Chinese Super League. Mata rejected the deal to spearhead Valladolid's charge to the promotion playoffs. The team ultimately failed, but Mata's character shone through, and he was soon recruited for Getafe. It's not only the little and large combination up top that's done the hard yards, remarkably, it's most the squad. Right back Damien Suarez had experienced 2 relegations with Sporting Gijón and Elche before finding a new lease of life and sense of stability at Getafe. Marco Cucurella and Nemanja Maksimovic were deemed not good enough for the likes of Barcelona and Valencia respectively, before Bordalas made them essential cogs of his blue and green machine. Then there's Gendakanam, who's been nothing short of a phenom since arriving in Madrid, but prior to his switch had never played a top flight minute. Now there's a string of top clubs lining up for his services. Very little about this club screams Champions League. They recorded the 5th lowest average attendance in La Liga last season. They dabbled in zombie porn in a hope that it would breed more Getafe fans to fix the aforementioned problem. Yeah, we're just going to move on from that. Their star striker was 25 before he even got a professional contract. They play wingers at fullback and fullbacks as wingers. However, somehow they're on the cusp of breaking into the top 6 in La Liga once more. I suppose the only question that remains now is how long can they keep Bordalas, who is a self-confessed lover of the Premier League. But putting that speculation to one side, Getafe have shown us that in an era where the super rich reign supreme in football, backed by oil barons, steel magnates, oligarchs, state-owned clubs, that a few good men, a clear game plan and a whole lot of heart can still take your places in football. And for that, we salute you, Bordalas and El Geta. You might have just seen me do that in the last take. That was me falsely locking it for dramatic effect at the end. That is another episode of One-on-One finished. What would you like to see me do next time? It's going to be a couple of weeks, guys, because I am off. However, we'll make it bigger and better than ever when we're back. So please do let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter, Instagram, maybe by post. Like, subscribe, look after each other. Celtic are going to win 10 in a row, and I'll see you next time. Bye. And they sit above story. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. What happened then? Woo. In short, they'd rather have the ball. In short, they'd rather the opposition have. In this section, we're going to look. In this section, we're going to. Oh, you. Why can't I say we're?